On June 25th, we have a new moon in the sign of Cancer, which at first blush looks beautiful and abundant. But when you unpack the energy, you see there's a potential for something to come out of the blue or from the underworld to come up and make it a little bit tense. I'm going to unpack all of this energy in the upcoming video. If you enjoy it, like and subscribe. It helps people find my content. So the new moon in Cancer is in the very first 10 degrees of the sign, the first decan. And the tarot card associated with that is the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups, as you can see here, cups have to do with love, and Cancer is a sign of nurturing and mothering. And we see here there's a quality of love here where people are deeply connected. Sometimes this can be a symbiotic love, this very first 10 degrees of Cancer, where you feel merged with another person, kind of like mother and child when you are an infant. That can be the energy of this first part of Cancer. So that can have like a really soft, loving, warm feeling for us, right? Especially when we put Jupiter, the god of abundance and optimism, is right there with the new moon. He's within a degree of it. And Jupiter's exalted in Cancer because he loves mothering. He loves to see things grow and be nurtured. He's a optimistic, abundant planet. So, as I said, this looks like a beautiful new moon when you first look at the chart. But if you take a little bit of a deeper dive, you see that Saturn and Neptune are in a square to the new moon. And a square is a tense energy. And Saturn and Neptune are in what's called an overcoming square, meaning they have more power than the new moon. So they're dominating it, you could say. And so with squares, there's sometimes a need to adapt. And here we have the sense with Saturn and Neptune at the very beginning of Aries that we could have some sort of impulsive action take over this new moon. I say impulsive action because Aries is about action. It's the sign, it's a fire sign ruled by Mars. It's about starting things. And Saturn, the god of restrictions and responsibility, is in his fall in Aries. So he's not doing so well. Sometimes we can take even more impulsive action that's not well thought out when Saturn is in Aries. And Saturn's also with Neptune, which can bring a little bit of confusion and loss of our capacity to set boundaries. So you see this energy is in the background of the new moon, and it might make you a little cautious around relational things with this new moon. I say the relational because, again, this is a new moon in Cancer, which is a water sign that can have to do with emotions and connections with other people. Another aspect that makes me wonder about this new moon and whether perhaps we might get some sudden news that brings about the something that comes or unfolds with the new moon is that Uranus, the planet of liberation and sudden events and a desire to break free, is connected to Mercury in the chart. It's in a sextile, which is a nice flowing supportive energy. So it may be that the news isn't bad news, right? But there's a sudden quality to it. And the news part, or the idea that it might bring news, is because Mercury is the planet of communication and information. And so I do wonder if something might come at us out of the blue that creates some tension or a desire for impulsive action around some relational, emotional part of who we are, the Cancer new moon. Lastly, I'm just going to throw in that this new moon is one of the legs of a yod in this new moon chart. Now, a yod is a very complex astrological concept. It's when you have three planets, two in a sextile and the other one in an inconjunct to each other. So it's this little, they call it a finger of God. And long story short, Pluto, the god of the underworld, is at the very apex of the yod. The new moon is down here with Jupiter. Pluto can bring things for us to deal with that are a little unconscious. A yod itself is an aspect or contains aspects of things that are unknown, because the inconjunct is an aspect that has to do with unconscious material. So you put it all together, and I also wonder if something a little bit heavy might be in the background driving some of the energy of what may be coming up for us with the new moon. So putting that all together, I would just say there is this potential for a sweetness and the capacity for us to plant the seed around a relationship that might bring new connection, but also to understand if we have to adapt, because there ends up being some sort of struggle in that relationship or connection with other people because of that square from Saturn-Neptune. Squares always require some sort of adaptation. And then also, if we do end up in a situation where things get a little dicey in a close relationship, to cut ourselves and the other person a little bit of slack, because some of the energy of what's getting worked out in this new moon may be something that's coming from the unconscious, from the underworld, that just needs to ripen and needs our loving attention. That's where you can really use the beautiful energy of Jupiter conjunct the new moon in Cancer to hold space, to hold a sacred space for the loving connection, because that's what Cancer loves to do. It loves to create spaces where people feel held and understood. So wishing you all the best with this upcoming new moon. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and we'll see you at the full moon.